Hi everyone! In this After Effects tutorial, I'll teach you some of the techniques you need to know to animate reels in the style of Julian Alborna. Here's an example of what we're going to learn.
Diría que tu deseo es mimético, que en tu cerebrito tienes un sistema de neuronas de espejo que le encanta imitar a otros. Diría que tu deseo es mimético, que en tu cerebrito tienes un sistema de neuronas de espejo que le encanta imitar a otros.
This might interest you. If you've ever wondered how these viral animations are made and who's behind these visual masterpieces, here's the answer. His name is Marco, and this is his Instagram profile. I'll leave his link in the description of this video if you want to check it out. By the way, if you want to support the channel, in addition to your likes, you can also do it from my Patreon page. There, I share with you all the projects I use in the tutorials, so you can keep practicing and learning. I leave the link in the description if you want to take a look. Let's import the files. First, these three. Now the Photoshop file, which since it's separated into layers, we have to import separately. Here we choose Composition, and that's it. I'm going to put all of these in a folder called Assets. This other folder will be for the compositions, and I'm going to save this one. By the way, if you like documentary-style editing, my course is now available. But it's not just a course in which I show you how to animate a sequence in After Effects, and that's it. But I show you the entire procedure that I followed to create this animation. From the initial idea to the final render, going through each and every phase of the creative process. I'll leave the link in the description in case you want to take a look. Still in this folder, let's create another composition called Circles Animation. 1920 by 1080 at 24 frames per second and 10 seconds long is more than enough. We select the ellipse tool, disable the path, and make a shape like this. If we hold down the Ctrl and Shift keys, we make a perfect circle. With the Alt key pressed, we can change the fill options. We'll leave this gradient as is. Here we change from linear to radial. You can also use whatever colors you want. If you look, a handle appears here. We're going to move this a little to the right. Now, we set the size of the ellipse to 500. We center the anchor point and center it in the viewport. At 110, we'll mark a keyframe in position and scale. And a little further on, we'll set the scale to 75 and the x-axis position to 730. We duplicate the shape, remove the scale animation from the bottom layer, and move it to the right on the x-axis, setting a value of 1190. We select all the keyframes and smooth them, and in the graphics editor, we shape the curve as follows. We can also enable motion blur. Let's continue. From this composition, we'll create another one called Circles Liquid. Right-click, create an adjustment layer, and apply the Gaussian blur effect. We'll set this value to 100. We'll also apply the Simple Choker effect and gradually increase this value until the circles start to become clear. We'll leave it at 70 to achieve this cool, liquid effect. This composition will be called Main Scene, 1080 by 1920, portrait format, and we'll leave everything else as is. Here we will put the composition of the liquid circles. convert it to 3D, and move it slightly down on the y-axis. We'll also import this texture and adjust its scale. We'll apply the hue and saturation effect. We'll set the master saturation to -100 and lower the master lightness considerably, but not completely. Otherwise, it will be totally black. We'll leave it between -90 and -95, so it's quite dark. But the texture is still visible. We create a text box and write something that matches our animation. I have this text set to justify all, but you can choose whichever option you prefer. I'll leave it roughly here, set the scale to 80%, and convert it to 3D. We center the anchor point and center it in the viewport. We'll move it slightly upwards on the y-axis. Now I'm going to add a preset with a text animation. If you'd like this and other presets we'll be using in this tutorial, you can download them completely free from my Patreon page. Check out this cool animation. Now we just need to adjust the timing to our audio. I already know where each text line goes, but you need to take as much time as necessary to ensure the audio you add is synchronized with the text animations. Using Ctrl+Shift+D, we cut this layer here. Now let's write some more text. We also need to convert this layer to 3D, center its anchor point, and center it in the view. I'm also going to set the scale of this text to 80. And I'm going to extend this layer a bit to serve as a guide and position them at the same height. It doesn't need to be in the exact same place. For the animation of this text, I'm going to use this other preset, in which the letters appear one by one from left to right. Look how cool it looks. I'm going to paint these 3 layers, which belong to the same scene, the same color. Now we're going to add a 35mm camera and a single node. Again, right-click, select New, then Null Object, convert it to 3D, and parent the camera to it. At the beginning of the timeline, we mark a keyframe, advance to 120, and mark another. In this first one, we're going to set a value of -500 on the z-axis to zoom in a bit. We smooth them and give the curve this shape so that it starts very fast and gradually slows down. At this point, we duplicate the null, remove the keyframes, and mark a new one. We have to parent the old one to the new one. We advance to the 4-second mark and continue zooming, setting the z-axis to 600. We smooth the keyframes by right-clicking, selecting keyframe velocity, and setting the influence to 90%. We need to end up with a curve as sharp as this one. Okay, now right here at this peak, where the animation is fastest, we're going to cut these two layers. We're going into the brain composition. On one side, we have the right side, and on the other side, the whole brain. We copy these two layers and go back to the main composition. With Ctrl+V, we paste them, place them down here, and change their colors to differentiate them. We parent the right side of the brain to this layer and convert it to 3D. While at the last keyframe, we select the brain layer and center it in view. You can do this with the shortcut Ctrl+Home, or in Layer, Transform, Center in View. We're also going to scale it down, and we need to place these two layers right here at the cut transition. We're going to move it down a little on the y-axis and set its value to 1040. For the next text, we're going to duplicate this layer, place it up here, and change its color. We're going to remove the two animators from this text layer and add this other preset, where the words appear from left to right. Okay, we need to position this layer at the same depth on the Z-axis as the brain layer. Look here where the brain layer is, and here's the text layer. If we select the pick whip and press Ctrl and Shift while parenting it to this layer, it will acquire all its properties, including position. We can remove the parent link now if we want. Now we move it slightly upwards on the Y-axis and increase its scale a bit. Here I'm going to write another sentence, and all that's left is to adjust the timing of the animation of this text to our audio. I'm going to place a ruler here, roughly in the center of the composition, to serve as a guide. Now I'm going to try to center this point on the layer controller. Okay, let's continue. I'm going to cut this text layer here. As I said before, you have to adjust the text timing to the audio you've chosen. We duplicate the null, delete its keyframes, and create a new one. We parent the previous one to this new one. This animation will start at 3:15. So we place the keyframe there, advance to 6 seconds, and continue zooming. We set the Z-axis value to 900. We smooth the keyframes, and we set the influence to 100% for this handle. This will create a very smooth zoom to introduce the new text. Let's duplicate this layer, for example, and place it up here with the others in its group. We move it to the right next to this text layer. Obviously, we have to give it the same Z-axis position as the brain layer as we did before. We press the Control and Shift keys and parent it using the pick whip. Once it's in the desired position, we can remove the parent link. We scale it and move it up on the Y-axis. Here we'll write another phrase and adjust the timing. I might reduce the scale a bit more. We center the anchor point and move it to the left on the X-axis. Or we can also put 540 here, which is right in the center of the composition. Great! It looks fantastic. We're going to duplicate the null again to make one last camera movement. We delete these keyframes and mark a new one. We parent the previous null to the new one. This animation will start at 5:10. We advance to the 6-second mark and zoom in a bit, setting the Z-axis value to 1100. We continue advancing to 8:10, and here we'll set a value of 1600. We smooth all the keyframes and give the curve this shape. Right here at this point, we're going to cut these two green layers, since we're going to do another cut transition with the last scene. We go to the last keyframe and bring in this footage, change its color, and convert it to 3D. And by pressing Ctrl plus Home, we center it in the viewport. This layer will start right here at this point. I'm going to scale it down a bit and also move it down on the Y-axis. Setting a value of 1040. Now, to hide these cuts, we select the layer and double-click on the ellipse tool. We'll set the feather of the mask to 200, so we can disguise the cut edges a bit. And to make this layer blend perfectly with the background layer, We'll set it to screen mode. Now it looks perfect. I might move the scene slightly to the left. For the last text, I'll duplicate this one, for example, and place the copy up here. Just like before, we need to position the text layer at the same depth on the z-axis as the footage layer. We'll give it the same color and remove the parent link. I'll increase its scale a bit, and to keep it right in the center, we'll set the x-axis to 540. Now we need to change the phrase and adjust the timing to our audio. We'll center the anchor point again and center it once more. This other footage, which looks like a neural system or something, we'll place above this layer. We'll convert it to 3D, and while holding down the Control and Shift keys, we'll parent it to the right side of the brain so it stays in the same position. We'll rotate it and move it slightly to the right until it covers this part of the brain. Now, we need to make this layer the alpha matte of this other one. We're going to position it right here, which is where the animation for this text begins, and paint it the same color as the others in this scene. Now we're going to add a little opacity animation, so it doesn't appear so suddenly. This is looking amazing. We can continue adding some details. For example, we're going to apply the tritone effect to this layer, and we'll use this color for the midtones. Or, well, you can choose whatever color you like best. We select all the layers, activate motion blur, and preview everything to see what we still need to do. Okay, this last layer, I'm going to move it a little to the left, so it starts right when the character lowers their arms and sits down in the chair. It looks great from there, and now the animation is finished and working perfectly. From here, we could continue making camera movements and adding new scenes. If you have any questions or get stuck on any step, leave a comment and we'll sort it out. And if you like the tutorial, give it a thumbs up so I know. See you in the next video.